Happy Halloween, and thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. This is Drew talking at you.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
It's Halloween, and today
it is.
Yeah, man. And we're talking about the movie Two Witches. What better time to talk about scary witches than Halloween, am I right?
I'm more about digging through the ditches and burning through the witches. There you go. I said something I like about Rob Zombie. I like Dracula.
Well, Two Witches is a film that's making a lot of noise right now. If you're listening to this podcast, odds are you've heard of it. It's available to stream on several services. And if you collect physical media, Era Video did a phenomenal job on the Blu-ray release.
That cover looks nice.
Yeah, right. Two Witches won awards in the festival circuit for Best Scare, Best Editing, Best Makeup Effects. And we're going to break it down.
It's won a lot.
Yeah, and we're going to break it down today. And after we do, we're going to do a burn and learn, which we haven't done in a while.
I'm always up to twist something and burn it.
So we're going to give you some more deeper knowledge of the film.
Oh, knowledge. I was just talking about smoking some more.
And then we're speaking with the lead actor of the film, Rebekah Kennedy, and the co-writer and producer, Maxime Rancon, and the co-writer, editor, director, and more, Pierre Tsigaridis, to go even deeper into the movie. This is one of our deep dive episodes. There will be spoilers.
I mean, it's Halloween. You got to go big on Halloween.
All that and more today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, choo-choo. Now it's time for Strain Wreck, the segment of our show where we discuss which strain we're getting wrecked on in each episode. We're getting extra toasty today. John, what do we got going on? What are we smoking for this episode, and why?
I figured, I usually don't have a why. I guess usually the why is I just want to get high. But these are called Granny's Apples, and I figure we're talking about witches.
Oh, man, nice.
It seems perfect. We got a granny in the story, witches and apples.
That's perfect.
But to be honest, I showed you this. This does not look good.
It's weird because it came from a dispensary too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got the purple colors. It looks purple.
It looks some street weed. It's looked better.
It looks like purple street weed.
It was cheap, but also, I mean, it looks terrible. But my God, I can assure you, it is good. I've sampled it for the episode. 28% THC.
Oof.
So. Where the fuck did I put it? I put it somewhere.
Where's the cone? Didn't you roll a cone up?
I rolled a cone somewhere. Where the fuck did I put this thing? Yeah, fuck. Where the fuck is this thing? It's like trying to solve Final Jeopardy in this bitch. Here it is. But I rolled up a cone for us. But it looks terrible, but it smokes pretty.
All right. Well, I'm down. You know I am, man.
I don't have any information on this one. I couldn't really find anything. The information I can give you from personal knowledge is it will get you fucked up.
Well, I mean, that's all that really matters, right?
I'm sure one of the negatives, though, if I'm going to guess, it's going to be dry mouth. And we're going to feel tingly.
Well, since it's Halloween, I thought we would take a few minutes to discuss the holiday, like past and current traditions. I thought that these traditions in particular were interesting enough to bring up, and I don't think that many people know of these. Some of these are still in effect and some aren't, nor do they all take place on the 31st of October. Halloween is celebrated differently all across the world, and these traditions we're about to talk about show you exactly how different. For example, in Austria, their tradition is to leave bread and water out on a table for the spirits to welcome and nourish the souls of the dead.
Okay, like you get some food like Santa Claus?
Yeah, kind of. Like you come back to a nice meal.
Yeah, now the Germans, they just hide all their knives at Halloween, so the returning souls don't accidentally cut themselves.
Yeah, that's a crazy one.
That's weird. Like, how are they going to accidentally cut themselves?
Yeah,
I guess because they're floated. Do
they hate themselves so much that they come back from the dead for one day and want to kill themselves already? Is life that bad?
The afterlife that bad?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. It seems like they're trying to get back to it. But then, of course, there's the whole thing about a turnip. There's actually a movie right now on Netflix with one of the Wayans brothers. The Curse of Bridge Hollow. That's it. I knew it. I was just like, wait a second.
Which
hold
Wayans
on.
brother? I'm going to guess
Marlon
Marlon.
Wayans. Marlon
Damn.
Wayans. And that actually goes into this, which a lot of people don't know. It's the story of like the actual origin of the jack-o'-lantern. The whole thing was there used to be a turnip instead of a pumpkin. The tradition of carving a jack-o'-lantern started hundreds of years ago in Ireland. There was a story about a guy named Stingy Jack who tricked the devil into becoming a coin so that he could pay for his beers and shit. And Jack kept the coin and put it in his pocket with a silver cross so that the devil couldn't turn back into his actual form. And Jack basically kept playing tricks on the devil. And when he died, both God and the devil were mad at him. And he wasn't allowed in heaven or hell, and instead was given a coal by the devil, and the devil sent him away. And the folktale says that Jack placed the coal in a carved turnip and has been roaming the world with it ever since. According to history, we get the title Jack-o'-lantern from the fact that Jack came to be known as Jack of the Lantern, Jack O' Lantern.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right. It wasn't until Irish immigrants came into America that they started using pumpkins instead. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I know about the turnips. I didn't truthfully know the whole story behind that. I feel like I probably should have. Also, in the UK and Ireland, they used to peel apples to predict the future, whereas Dr. Loomis would say in Halloween 2, predict omens of the future.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's a lot of these seem like superstitions. You know, I mean, some superstitions could not be superstitions, but some
Maybe
of these
that's where
do
we get
sound
the
like
apples
straight
from associated with Halloween.
Totally, man. Another apple reference to for the witch episode. Did you know that Halloween candy alone is a quarter of all of the candy sold annually in the U.S.?
Yeah, I got to imagine another big chunk of that's probably got to be Christmas.
I mean, both, yeah, but we're talking candy here.
October to February is probably the big one. Well, I guess, damn. I guess, yeah, that's where I would go. I don't think you get as much on Easter as you probably think. But also, $500 million was spent on just animal costumes.
That is fucking ridiculous.
How many of them were slutty animals, though?
Wow. Okay. Dressing your pet's a thing, but damn, that's become quite the thing. Okay, well, here's one. In European tradition, young women do tricks with mirrors, yarn, or apple parings because they believed that it'd tell them their future husband's name or show them what he looked like.
Interesting. In the 20s and 30s, vandalism on Halloween became so out of hand that by the 50s, they toned it down. Trick-or-treating was brought back as a way to stop kids from pulling pranks with vandalism. If they're out collecting candy, they can't bust shit up, right?
That's true.
That's not true, because you could do both.
You could be a dick, take the candy, and then throw an egg.
If known, but...
Well, this is fitting for this episode. The fear of black cats comes from the fact that people used to believe that witches could turn into black cats as an alternate disguise.
That one I was familiar with, but...
Yeah.
Black cats, I don't know if you've ever had black cats, but every black cat I've known is always, like, super weird. So I believe it.
Well, I don't have any more Halloween tales here to talk about, so I wanted to bring up something else. Now we'll move into something else while we're smoking here. I wanted to talk about the new Terror Train remake of the classic Jamie Lee Curtis slasher. It's available to stream on Tubi as a Tubi original. Take that as you will. So it actually wasn't as bad as you'd think it was going to be, though. I went in with zero expectations. It's directed by Philippe Gagnon and written by Ian Carpenter and Aaron Martin.
Philippe Gagnon?
Yeah, Felipe. And it stars Robin Alomar. So for this one, it takes place as a Halloween party, which makes more sense, actually, because in the original, they're celebrating New Year's, but they're celebrating like a Halloween costume, like it's Halloween. So it actually takes place on Halloween, this one does. And I'm not mad at that. It's bloody, and the twist is actually pretty good. I don't think it was predictable at all in who the killer was, but I will say that the ending isn't as definitive as the original, and the killer only has a clown mask and a reptile in this movie. There's no old man, conductor, and Groucho Marx and reptile, just a clown mask and a snake.
Ian Carpenter, I think he was, you said it was written by him. He was one of the writers, I think, on the Slasher TV series.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Ian's a good, he's a talented writer.
Terror Train, yeah. Another one of those Jamie Lee 80s slashers.
Yeah. Are you interested in checking the new one out at all?
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much into it right now, but because it's so fresh. But
It's not high up on my list of things to get around to. I'll just say that.
just because you got to sit through the commercials of Tubi.
Yeah, all 20 seconds aggravates me like every 20 minutes. But I got some news for you.
Okay.
My God, Tobin Bell's back. At first, I thought it was a joke. I figured it was another one of. I feel like of all genres, horror is one of the worst for like saying, "Oh, somebody's coming back to do this movie, or it's going to be a sequel of this movie," and it's like there's no substance to it. But no, Tobin Bell is back for a 10th Saw movie.
Oh my God, man. The thing that really sucks is that they just keep doing these Saw movies and they're all so bad. They've gotten to be so bad at this point that it's almost like just bewilders me that they're continuing them.
And in fairness, though, what else is Tobin Bell really doing?
Damn. But
no,
like,
Tobin Bell's the only reason any of those other later Saw movies are any good. He's one of the only good actors.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But it's like you buy a box set of the Saw movies and there's going to be like fucking 15 of these fucking things. And it's like, I watched 3 of them. You know, it's like there's just like this. Oh man, like
I have the box set before. Actually, it wasn't even a box set. It literally was one Blu-ray package with all the movies, and it was just a thick boy. But I don't even think it has special features on them or anything. It was like $20. It was before Jigsaw came out, so it was the final chapter. I have no interest in buying Jigsaw. That was the Halloween Ends of the Saw franchise. That one was just unforgivable. And I didn't even bother to see Spiral.
Dude, is Saw the like horror franchise, like the horror version of Fast and the Furious right now?
Are they going to go to space too, dog?
I just thought of that. Like
go and Saw in space?
They're the 2 franchises that are just chugging the fuck along somehow.
Dude, and Tobin Bell even took time off and said, fuck it, let Chris Rock go make a movie. I'll come back after.
Yeah, right. Like Chris Rock will make a prequel.
Have you seen Spiral?
Not a prequel, a side story. I mean, no, I actually.
I'm going to say, like, I
don't really have any interest in it. I was thinking about it, but it's one of those ones that I feel like I'll get to. I'm in absolutely no rush because
you're going to get to it before me.
Probably.
I'm just going to wait for you to tell me how bad it is.
I bet you it's better than Halloween Ends.
Ooh.
I bet you. I don't know.
But
I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'd put a bet on that. I'd put $1 bet on that.
But like I said, Tobin Bell, I'm not going to criticize. Dude's a good actor.
He is. But
he's one of the like few good actors in that entire franchise. But yeah, I had no interest in Spiral, but I've seen every Saw except Spiral in theaters. So I'll probably see the new one with Tobin Bell in it.
Well, I want to talk to you about another movie that's actually a short film. But for that, we should head into Screaming Room, the segment of our show where we review and talk about the movies that you, the listeners, have not seen yet. Okay, so there's a short film based on Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. I know, right? You're probably going, another adaptation of that, but this one
They do me a lot.
This one is really good, man. This one's one to look out for sure. It's only 22 minutes, and it's very bloody. It's a mind bender, actually, and it's the bloodiest and most original take I've seen on The Tale, and probably ever, if I'm honest. And the screenplay was written by McLean Lindquist and directed by him as well. I don't really know where you can view this one, like short films. I don't really know like where you go to view short films. But it's making the rounds at indie festivals and collecting accolades left and right. If you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan, you should be excited to see this. Keep up with the movie and potential reviews, where to watch it by following the movie on Instagram at Telltale Movie, and go to our official website highonhorror.com and read my review if you want to read a little bit more about it.
And speaking of short films, we actually were lucky enough. We got press passes virtually to the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, the 16th annual. There's a lot of Canadian shorts. There's, I'd say 3. I mean, you can go check out the reviews on our website, highonhorror.com. little review section up top. But The Trunk was a good one. And then there was, thank God for subtitles, 2 French-Canadian ones, because I do not speak French. There was Nu. I don't know French. That's what I'm going to guess you say it for nude. And there was another one that was okay. It's mentioned in there. It just feels half complete. But I mean, I guess it is a short film. You could do 2 parts. Come on. No. It was good. It's based on Lovecraft's The Temple. You know, the French Le Temple for the people. I know that French one. But no, The Trunk and Nude, those were my 2 favorite Canadian ones. The Trunk, like, man, I want to see that get moved to, like, a full feature. Like, I feel like it could be a lot of fun. It's about a father and daughter. They find a trunk with a chain around it in the woods. And they bring it back, and the daughter figures it has to be valuable because somebody wrapped it up in a chain.
Right.
And, eventually we're going to open it. And can't really tell too much more from there, but the effects are amazing. Like, everything about this, I loved it from the minute it started. And Nude, that was another good one I liked. That was probably my second favorite from the Canadians shorts. It's about a couple, they just want to go fuck in the woods in a Jeep. I mean, that's a simple premise. More she wants to go fuck. It's like a fantasy she has. And her boyfriend is worried about, like, people seeing them, like, the whole time. So it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And it surprised me. I liked it. And I feel like there's a little more of a... I'm trying to... I can't believe I can't think of the word. I'm not talking about story. More of a message behind it.
Okay, like a social commentary?
Maybe not a social commentary, but, like, more just talk... Yeah, you have to see it. It'll explain it better. Okay. But those are the 2, like Drew said, I don't really know where to check them out because we got sent screeners from Tad. But so, yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up. Short films are, I mean, I don't think you're probably as big of a fan as I am of short films.
No, I love short films,
you
man.
Do? Dude. Like we never talk about short films.
Like the original Full Moon movies, man, were like Full Moon features. Those movies were like an hour and 9 minutes, if they were even an hour, and they were badass. And those were like the short movies I grew up with. And I don't mind short films at all. It's just that there were so many movies to cover. They gave us so many movies, and it was almost overwhelming. And I knew that you loved shorts, and I like to like chill after work and watch like movies. So I was like, I can kind of tackle the feature movies maybe, and you tackle the shorts, and you kind of cleared the shorts out.
I was just watching.
There's so many movies to cover,
and I mean, I still got the international ones to watch. So we'll probably try to get some of those up on the website. I mean, they'll probably by the time you're hearing this, they're going to be on there. They're going to be on there as well.
This is Monday the 31st if you're listening, so that means by now the website should have check the website out. There'll be a lot of reviews on there.
Anyway, we're just fucking gabbing and shit. So let's move along. We got a lot of shit to get to today. And we're going to find out what's going on in horror history, or as we like to call it around here, horror hiss.
This week in horror history.
So we'll start out here October 30th, 1981. We got Halloween 2, the good Halloween 2. The Rick Rosenthal Halloween 2. Or is it the John Carpenter Halloween 2?
Well, yeah, I mean...
you know who originally was supposed to direct it? I mean, besides Carpenter, who the next choice was after?
I know. Tommy Lee Wallace.
Do they know out there? Well, they know now. You told them. Tommy Lee Wallace still directed some good movies for himself.
Yeah, man. Even though Rick Rosenthal directed part 2, he was the joke of the Halloween franchise because he also did Resurrection. And he's a cool kid now. All the focus is off of him, and he can relax. He no longer has the worst film in the series. But I love Halloween 2, man. It is a classic, and it is dark, and it is relentless.
Interesting. I just thought about here. The directors that have directed 2 Halloweens or more end up making at least one shitty one.
I mean, fair enough. The curse of the Halloween trilogies.
Yes, I mean, at least he didn't direct Halloween Ends, am I right?
Yeah, right.
And then next up, we got 2 Tickums. I don't know what a Tickum is. 2 tickets. The Phantom of the Paradise.
Man, I love that movie. That's my favorite De Palma film.
October 31st, 1974.
Nice. So on to today.
Today.
I haven't brought that movie up in a while.
To this day.
You know, I know you were annoyed at me constantly bringing up that movie, so it's been a while. So it's cool that you gave that a mention. I still got to get you to watch that with me, though, man. It's like a rock and roll musical directed by Brian De Palma. It's badass.
I mean, like I've said before, I like Brian De Palma. Also today, 1962. So that's what, 70.
That's long. I don't even know. It's too much math right now.
Too much. Wait, that can't be right. 60 something. God, this is gonna come out. I'm gonna not be high listening to it, and then I'm gonna be like, you don't know how to do math. Whatever happened to Baby Jane?
So did you ever give an actual?
It's 1962. Yeah, 60. Okay. Counting on my fingers. Counting by tens on my fingers. I'm letting you into how my mind works.
Well, this movie is classic, man, and it has some of the most convincing and heartbreaking acting that I've ever seen. Here's a knowledge nug in Betty Davis's book This and That. It said that the film was originally supposed to be shot in color, but Davis didn't like that idea, saying that it would make a sad story look pretty.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. And now we're moving on to tomorrow, November 1st, 1985. I can figure this one out because I was born in 86 and I'm 36, so that's 37.
Okay.
Got that math down. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. The weird one.
Have you seen Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, the documentary about the star Mark Patton and how
I have not seen it yet.
It's about how he was a closeted gay man while the filming of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 happened, even though it coincidentally happened to have a ton of homoerotic subtext. It's pretty good, man. It's actually kind of moving.
I always remember when you would bring up that you were like, oh, or Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is the gay one. People would be like, no, it's not. And then finally you get the director out there who's like, people say I directed a gay Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I directed a gay Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
That's the thing.
There's no debate.
Being a gay Nightmare on Elm Street movie doesn't make it a bad Nightmare on Elm Street.
I feel like people take it that way when you say it.
It's still a good movie. That doesn't. It's not all of a sudden a bad movie because of that. But there was always questionable things. The thing that always got me was when Mark Patton, Jesse, when he wakes up in the middle of the night, hot as shit with the sweats, and decides to go downtown for a drink and goes right into a S&M gay bar. It's kind of like it was all over the place, but that doesn't make it a bad movie, so it's really ridiculous that people argue about it.
I just think it gets overshadowed by how good 1 is and then how amazing Part 3 is.
It is definitely the weaker of the 3, for sure, man. Yeah,
but it's still not bad. It's still a Freddy movie.
And this was I think the last time Freddy was actually scary. In Dream Warriors, although it's a better film, Freddy's definitely more witty and a little bit more flamboyant.
And also November 1st, 1991. I actually just bought this on Vudu this week because it was on sale. That. People Under the Stairs. It's underrated Craven movie.
It's one of Wes's better films, better efforts. It's probably been, honestly, man, I have the Blu-ray, but I think it's been a better part of 10 years since I've watched this. It's last time we talked about this movie, I said the same thing. I said I was going to watch it and never did. Yeah. And here we are a year later. Yeah, man, it's still a great time. The last time I saw it, I'd like to see how it holds up still.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. It's one of those movies that it popped up on Vudu on sale, and I just go, oh shit! I haven't thought of this. Probably about this time last year's the last time I thought about it.
Right.
And also on November 1st, 2002, we have 28 Days Later.
A solid movie, but it pisses me off that Danny Boyle says that this isn't a horror film. It bothers
we've talked about that.
When horror is used as a stepping ladder to get to where you want to be in your filmmaking career, and then you ignore it and pass it off as something else because horror is beneath what you're willing to direct. It has to be something else in order to look cool, and that pisses me off. I wonder if he'd say that now that horror is cool and everybody loves horror and it's bigger than ever. I wonder if Danny Boyle would stand by his remark that it's not a horror movie.
Yeah, probably. And also, November 1st, we have a birthday. Previous guest of ours, director of May, Lucky McKee.
Hell yeah, man. Happy birthday. And that's right. We forgot to mention that his new movie, Old Man, is out now to rent and in limited theaters. We haven't seen it yet, but Knowing Lucky, we got to expect good things. It stars Stephen Lang from Don't Breathe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. We're moving on. We still got more shit for you.
Yeah.
I feel like you snuck this one in here. November 3rd, 1954, Godzilla.
Yeah, man. Gojira, the birth of cinema's greatest movie monster. The ending still fucks me up, man.
He's no Gamera.
It's, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm not even going to say nothing to that.
He's a turtle that can fly, dog. What's Godzilla going to do with that?
The ending of Gojira still fucks me up, man. That and the 1985 one, they're really fucked up.
November 3rd, we got another movie. We got another birthday from somebody that is in movies, though. Tom Savini.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Legend.
Never heard of him, just had to throw him on.
Yeah,
there.
what's he do? Never
Heard of his work, ever. And we got one more movie, November 6th, 1981. As we've said before, a very underrated slasher, The Prowler.
One of the greatest slasher movies, man, a.k.a. Rosemary's Killer. Joseph Zito went on to direct Friday the 13th, the final chapter after this. Do you think it's a coincidence that it's the best Friday the 13th film? I don't. I love Zito's style and his direct bluntness with brutality. And yes, I know you're going to agree that Part 4 is the best Friday the 13th.
Nah. Part 6. You almost got me. I almost just nodded because I'm so high. And I was like, wait. I don't like Part 4. It's not my favorite in anything. So that can't be right.
It's not my favorite in anything.
Maybe Leprechaun.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Well, I don't know, man. I still, for the original and the new one with Lyndon Porco, that one was pretty good. Leprechaun Returns.
Yeah, I told you I just watched Leprechaun Returns recently. I was scrolling through something to watch, and I said, oh, shit, I haven't watched this in a while.
Did you ever see that piece of shit with Hornswoggle, the WWE remake that they did?
No, I remember we were both
horrible.
very excited for it because the trailers looked halfway decent, and then you told me it was a total letdown.
Dude, it was bad. It was bad.
So you saying Dylan Postel, or however you say his name, is not the best Leprechaun?
No. But we're rambling, and we need to move on. So
it's funny. At the end of all of these, we just keep rambling.
Well, now it's time to get into Puff Puff Ask, the segment of our show where we read off questions that you listeners send in to us on social media at highonhorror420 and through email at highonhorror420@gmail.com and our website highonhorror.com.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
It's funny that I brought up Terror Train because we got a message from Tizzy on Instagram asking what was the point of the magician in the new Terror Train. And I don't want to give away any spoilers, as I said earlier, but I don't have to here because I also do not know and have pondered that.
I haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna rip the ball.
Well, it looks like you got a question as well. What are you? Who's your question from?
I had to rip the ball first. It's from Jerry from Frankfort, Kentucky. Wants us to list an underrated movie to watch on Halloween. Halloween does take place in this movie, so I'm going to go with Mean Girls.
Oh, nice. My wife would appreciate that.
I don't think that classifies as a Halloween movie. It's actually one you did last year and I'm doing this year because when you initially think of it, you don't put Halloween with it, and that's Exorcism of Emily Rose for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's
not an underrated movie, but for a Halloween movie.
People don't really categorize it as a Halloween movie. That's true. Yeah, that's yeah, you threw that back at me. I forgot I said that. That's pretty. Yeah, that is true.
Because you did that last year on Halloween, and then I went, "Oh yeah, that is a Halloween movie," so I took it this year.
Yeah, because her actual exorcism took place on October 31st. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's when the farm scene happens, the barn scene. I mean, that's just wild.
Maybe
every time Emily Rose comes up, we go on a tangent, so we should stop before we go too far. We need to review
Halloween Fort.
Halloween,
and not just because it's on in the background right now, but I really like Halloween 4. I think more than most people. But
so I mean, Halloween. Yeah, I guess Halloween 4 could be counted as underrated.
That first like 10 minutes, it's like Halloween Resurrection. That first 10 minutes is really good. Like with like the wind and the leaves, and they're going to pick Michael up. It's in the rain.
The opening of Part 4, the opening credits is like one of the best openings.
Yeah, and then like even going to the hospital and like the line where the woman's like Jesus, and he was like, Jesus doesn't have anything to do with this place.
Yeah. Well, I guess my answer would be Satan's Little Helper. If you just Google it, when you see the cover, you're going to be blasted with that Blockbuster nostalgia. I remember the cover of it in my Blockbuster clear as day. It's a twisted little movie that's a lot of fun. It takes place on Halloween. It's about a boy named Dougie, and he basically goes trick or treating with this adult in a Satan costume, who he just kind of follows around and thinks is his friend, unbeknownst to him that the student in the Satan costume is a serial killer. And they're leaving a path of bodies behind them. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a really good movie. And if you're listening to this, your odds of seeing it are even better, because odds are you know about the contest that we have going on right now, where we are giving away a free copy, a free brand new copy of the Synapse release of Satan's Little Helper on Blu-ray that's brand new. It just came out.
Region free.
Yeah. And,
don't be a John and go buy films from Arrow and not realize they're only for England.
Well, if you're listening to this episode and you want to win a free copy of Satan's Little Helper on Blu-ray, all you have to do is follow us on social media at High on Horror 420, rate or subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Listen to this episode for the keyword that we are about to drop. Once you hear this keyword, inbox us on social media or email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com with the keyword and a screenshot showing that you rated or subscribed to us. And a winner will be chosen at random on November 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good luck. John, what's that keyword?
Josh, give me a drum roll, or don't. Up to you, I guess. Password is Satan Man. SATANMAN. Satan Man.
Good luck.
All right, now I guess let's talk about that film, Two Witches.
Let's do it, man. Can't wait.
All right, before we get started here, I got us another Granny's apple cone to go.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, it's Halloween, and we're talking about witches, so I wanted to start by reminding everyone listening today that the Wiccan New Year of Samhain is considered a precursor to the modern Halloween.
Dr. Loomis told me it's pronounced Samhain.
Well, today it coincides with Halloween on October 31st. Historically, it was a Celtic festival held on November 1st, where the world of the gods was believed to be made visible to mankind. Modern witches say it's a time of year when the veil between the dead and the living is thin.
I gotta say, it's always best, like I said, explained by Dr. Loomis. It's a festival of souls. Josh, put that clip in or something.
So, look, who doesn't love a good witch movie? Am I right? I mean, witches have been ingrained in us since childhood, with the most memorable witches being the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz and the creepy witch with the apple from Snow White. Witch movies used to be creepy,
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, right? Well, yeah, exactly. You know, witch movies used to be creepy, like Black Sabbath from 1960, directed by Mario Bava. 1950 through 1960 was like the first peak in witch-centric content. But as time went on, witches have become more sleek and cool. It's hip to be a witch. Just look at The Craft, you know, and both versions of Sabrina as examples.
And I feel like witches are making a comeback again. I feel like we're seeing more stuff with witches in it.
Yeah, and thankfully, Two Witches is a film about heritage, and it goes back to basics and makes witches scary again. We're talking witches from Romania, the real deal. Director Pierre Tsigaridis said that he wanted to make a movie that he'd want to rent in a video store as a youth, and that he's always been more interested in the darker side of human nature when telling stories. Two Witches follows the old-school patriarchal narrative of witches, as in, you know, eating babies and giving you the evil eye and shit. But it follows the narrative with a punch and a twist, as we see that these witches are bad motherfuckers. They are empowered and ready to strike. Pierre Tsigaridis actually had the idea to film this movie when his mother, Marina Parodi, who plays the Boogie Woman, told him a story about how she was given the evil eye at a restaurant and didn't feel well afterwards and was worried that the woman had actually cursed her. Marina said that she does believe in the evil eye being a real thing as well. This movie This is a movie that cuts out the sleek and sexy shit and lets the monsters out of the bag. I feel like if this were released in the 70s or 80s, then we'd still be talking about it. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you can tell it has some European horror to it.
Yeah. And I feel like this one's going to be around for a while, and word of mouth will continue to spread, and everyone will eventually, know about this movie. I'll take us through it, John.
All right, Two Witches is a 2021 American horror film directed by Pierre Tsigaridis, produced by Maxime Rancon, who are both with us today. They co-wrote the screenplay along with Christina Klebe. The film also stars our third guest today, Rebekah Kennedy. And the story's told in two parts. The two stories are kind of loosely connected together, telling the story of two different women. The first tale revolves around the couple expecting their first child. While at dinner, Sarah Johnson, played by Belle Adams, notices an elderly woman staring at her in the restaurant. She later becomes unnerved when she sees the same woman staring at her through the window. And Sarah's freaked the hell out by it all. I mean, I can't blame her. That old Betty probably creeped me out too.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, yeah, giving you the white eye and shit. The white eye? The
White
evil
eye.
eye.
I don't think I've ever heard it quite described that way, but that is what it is.
No, yeah, this segment, the Boogie Woman, this segment's the real fucking deal.
And Simon Fleming, Sarah's boyfriend, played by Ian Michaels, he mostly mocks her over this, including their married friends, Melissa and Dustin Green, played by Dina Silva and Tim Fox, respectively. They go over their house, and while at their home, she's into the occult and all that shit, so she believes Sarah's story. And, so later that night, they perform a seance, and they attempt to stop the woman from affecting Sarah. And so I think for part one, I feel like that's kind of a good place to leave off there.
Yeah, I have a few things I want to add before we move on to the next segment. The next segment titled Masha? Did you want to give your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. I thought this was solid for the first story. It doesn't take long to get going, and it takes something that, like, if it wasn't told in two stories, this would have taken a whole feature to get around to where you want to get to, like, right from the beginning. You kind of know what's coming.
Yeah.
Simon's such an asshole to Sarah about her experience. I can't say much because, Drew, you know me. If Nicole had told me that we were at a restaurant and some woman gave her an evil eye, I would crack jokes about it and tell her she's overreacting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I guess I'm calling myself an asshole by proxy, but yeah, Simon is an asshole about it, but I feel like realistically a lot of people would be the same thing. Like, come on, nobody's like cursing you because they looked at you.
Yeah.
And the first part, I think a lot of times when you look at reviews, this gets overlooked. I mean, the second half is amazing, no doubt.
Yeah.
But, and that deserves all the praise it gets. I'm no way trying to subtract from that. But the first part deserves a lot of praise, too.
Just as much.
Everyone really plays well off of each other.
Yeah, I have to, I definitely have to agree, man. I just wanted to say that there's a few things about this that I wanted to bring up before we move into Masha. So in the opening scene where we see the baby and we see Masha and the Boogie Woman like walking into the room, and I guess it's supposed that they eat the baby. The reason that scene exists is because Pierre Tsigaridis said he wanted to open the film in a way that made you see the eyes through someone helpless. And he approached the story like a slasher film. That's why the Boogie Woman doesn't really talk unless she's like chanting spells. And besides that, she's a killer with a clear motive. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty cool, right? I was like, damn, I didn't really think of that until that was said. Also, something that I thought was really creepy about this segment was the devil. Like, nobody seems to talk about the devil. Like, but the like that black robed figure played by Tristan Ariel, and Pierre actually does the voice, but that was really creepy. Didn't you did you expect that when you saw it the first time?
No.
It kind of just happened. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't really consider it a spoiler because I think we kind of get into it in the interview. It moves fast. I was not ready for it to move that. Even though I knew it was two stories, I wasn't ready for it to move that fast, and it's not a bad thing by saying it moved that fast. It works just fine.
I agree, and you're gonna hear the dark being said a lot. You know, you're in the dark now. That's something that's said a few times in this movie. And if you're listening to this and you don't know what that was, or you know what the dark is essentially like the Further in the Insidious films. It's like a parallel world that's a dark reverse version of our own, I guess you'd say. So I also really liked that too. Like the whole "you're in the dark now," like you're just like, that don't fucking sound good. But another thing was there was a Lamberto Bava nod when Dustin grabs that green mask out of the box. That was like total homage to Demons, which is one of my favorite Italian horror films. I thought that was awesome. And also, I wanted to bring something up to you, conversation-wise here, dude. I think that Melissa stops this film from being misogynistic because she listens to Sarah and she helps her and she doesn't lie to her like the guys try to do. And I'm like, if it wasn't for her, this whole story would just be this chick dominated by these guys who are not like giving a shit about what's going on.
True. That's a good point. I just want to bring up something real quick.
Yeah.
I started laughing to myself because you just saw me use the torch to light that. And right after I did that, you said, in case none of you knew what that was, I thought you were going to talk about the torch because it was making that like noise when it was lighted.
I was like, no, I didn't. So yeah, okay. So this also has the best ligament losing scene since
Ooh.
Feast. Feast, monster cock stuck in the door. If you know, you know. But no, in regards to this segment though, the Boogie Woman is the scariest thing I've watched in a long time. This segment, before we get into the next segment, this segment fucking gave me anxiety. Like my heart was pounding. I legit think I broke a sweat. It scared the shit out of me because it's fucking relentless. Like it really just starts and it just doesn't stop and it's just constantly coming at you. It had me dreading every oncoming scene due to how brutally relentless it was, man. I never really used this word, but I think I was like petrified. I was legitimately like, I don't want the next scene to happen because I'm tired of being on edge. So that's the best compliment I can give it.
I was going to say, it was like what Saw was for me in some aspects of how much more can I keep watching of this? Like,
yeah.
how much more violent is this going to get?
Like, fucking chill, man. You know, chill.
Are you good to move into the second part?
Yeah. Let's get into
All right,
Masha.
so getting into our second story here, which centers around Masha, played by Rebekah Kennedy, and Rachel Howard, played by Christina Klebe. The story starts with Masha... Oh, I thought you're cutting me off there. My bad. Anyway, the story starts with Masha. She's having sex with some rando she just met because, you know, later she'll just say she likes to fuck.
Yeah.
Masha's face starts distorting during sex, and she starts choking him and biting him, and that dude just hauls off and socks her one. And like, I mean, you can't really fault him in this case. He's like, I mean, she's straight up choking him. He's trying to get out of it. She starts biting his hand. Like,
she's aggressive, man.
She's aggressive. That's true. At least he got out of there, right?
Yeah, right.
So her roommate Rachel hears all the commotion. She forces the dude to leave. Then later, the power goes out, like on the entire block, and Masha and Rachel just sit around and chat, and Rachel tells her a story about, you know, abusive relationship. She doesn't want to tell her, and Masha's like, well, you know, the electric's out. We don't know how long it's going to be. Might as well.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and tell me your story. She also says, like, I like to hear stories, and, like, you can see her just kind of, like, look at her. But, so anyway, Rachel tells Masha the story of an abusive relationship she was in and how she got out of it. Masha talks about how much she appreciates Rachel as a friend and how she would never want her against her, which is a weird thing to say. And like Rachel even points it out. She's like, why would you say that? And she was like, oh, you never know. Like, just Masha always has to end things so weirdly with shit. Like everything, it's like, okay, I can see you're just a little weird. Okay, but that was extra weird. Like, why are you saying that?
Yeah. Taking things a little making things a little personal, you know.
And then like another weird line comes up when she goes, well, Masha says she just knows that people should be nice to her. And like you can like Rachel's kind of like, what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
she's like, what does that mean? She goes on to explain how she believes her grandmother, once she dies, she's going to inherit her like supernatural powers. And she's speaking of the same woman, the boogie woman we saw in the with Sarah in the first story. Masha visits Rachel at her office, but Rachel's out to lunch. And then also weirdly tells the receptionist about like her story of the guy in the apartment, but she takes parts of Rachel's story and makes it hers and puts it in there. So Rachel comes home and she's fucking pissed. She wants Masha to move out before she comes back from Christmas break and visits with her family. And I think like the first one here, this is probably a good spot to kind of drop off with the story here. The dynamic between Rebekah and Christina is like wonderfully executed. Like nothing here is missed. And I guess what I mean is like, especially I feel like in horror movies a lot of times and I feel like we forgive it. The character will say something that is obviously ominous in tone or just something weird to say.
Yeah.
And the other characters just pretend like it's normal. Like that doesn't happen here. Like every time Masha says something that us as the viewer are going, that's weird, Rachel's just kind of feels the same way.
Yeah.
Just like, why are you saying this? Like,
nothing gets past her. Yeah, like she actually says that was a weird question at one
she was
point.
like, why? And then she'll be like, why are you like? Because like the whole thing of like, I just know that people need to be nice to me. You don't have to worry. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And then like that shit about like when they're friend, like, oh, after she tells her the story of like her abuse, she goes, oh, you're such a nice person. I would never want you to not be my friend. And then she's like, why are you saying that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I feel like a lot of horror movies, that shit would just be overlooked and we just move on. But like, Rachel kind of is the viewer in a way.
Yep.
Because we're all sitting there going, why the hell are you saying that? That's weird. She's always there to call it. And also, like, can we talk about Rebekah's facial contortions? Like, that shit is well done and it's creepy as fuck. I love it.
The first one, the first time we see her face when she sits up in bed, that's the one where I was like, God damn, that's awesome. Like, that is awesome. That's some iconic shit right there. You know, like that's that just stood out to me as like that's poster worthy. And sure enough, several images like that are posted everywhere. Those facial contortions are off the charts.
And I can't wait for us to get a sequel or sequels. Like we were saying, witches are making a comeback, dude. Slapface with Jeremiah Kipp. Mm-hmm. Even the short film I was talking about, The Trunk from the TAD Film Festival.
That's right.
And now 2 witches. Like, I feel like maybe I'm missing something else with witches. I feel like there's some other shit that I just can't think of.
How about the autopsy of Jane Doe?
Yeah, like
that's one. But actually, it's funny you mentioned the Toronto After Dark Film Festival because I was gonna say the feature film that I watched from there was called The Evil Eye, which coincidentally, you know, there's an evil eye in 2 Witches here. And it was a witch movie, actually. And it was really fucking good. I'll have a written review up on the website by now for that. But yeah, it's called The Evil Eye, and it's really fucking good. It's a Mexican horror movie, and it's kind of like Guillermo del Toro doing a witch movie. Really good movie. So there's another one.
That's a new country on the map, like for horror recently. Mexico's been producing some good shit.
They've been coming at it, yeah.
But yeah, like it's weird. I feel like there's these like unspoken like cultural waves that happen with horror, where it was like right before Walking Dead, we only had a couple zombie movies, and then right as that's happening, like it isn't even necessarily stuff off the success of Walking Dead. It's stuff that's already being planned that was zombie stuff.
Yeah.
And it's feeling this way with witches. Like I feel like people go, you know what? We haven't had witch movies in a while, and then everybody's like, let's make a witch movie.
Yep.
But I would say the witch movies have been stronger than the zombie movies.
By far, and scarier as well.
Yeah, just wrap it up here. I'm committed to the Masha story. I need more of it. It's like, I don't know how much farther you can go with it, but Orphan. Like, I need more Esther stories.
I hear you.
Yeah, my rating, 8.6 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, very good. this story, Masha, this gave me a much needed breather, man. After having my heart in my throat for the first fucking segment through the whole thing, although it's the less scary one, I think it is more gory, and I consider this segment to be kind of the story of the film, the heart of the film. Things start to kind of breathe and make a little more sense once we get to this one, because up until this story, the Boogie Woman segment kind of seems almost random until like the end when you find out like she's looking forward to pay. You're like, oh, this is going to tie into something. But Masha, man, she is a fucking narcissist, man. She never loses her cool and remains stable because she's not attached to any of her victims. That's true narcissism. That's real shit. Like, and that is played to a T. Like, you really are like, yo, you are really conniving. Like, you are. Oh man, she's the villain you love to hate. And I wanted to say something to you. The way that Masha brings the rabbit in the box.
Oh shit! I forgot all about to include. I can't believe I forgot about that part. But yeah, that was probably my. It's fucking crazy. I forgot about it. Now thinking about it, like. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the second act. That shit was fucking crazy,
dude. It was absolutely. But I was gonna bring it up to you. It reminded me of the cat in Christmas Vacation. When they bring the cat in the box, I was like, that was what I thought of when I saw the box moving. But I guess lastly, before I do my rating, I just wanted to say that this is a very feminist film, and the females are the strong ones and the men are the zeros here. I mean, the roles are reverse, even in sex here. Like one of my favorite scenes in the movie is where we see Masha forcing sex onto Karen's boyfriend. She says to him, I'm going to fuck you like you've never been fucked before. And that's what guys want to hear normally. We'd be all about that. Like, hell yeah. But with Masha, she's so aggressive that the man is actually terrified of her. Like, there's nothing sexy about it. She made it sound like she was going to break his dick off, But that's cool to turn sex against a man like that. Like the men are the victims. And, the women aren't the weak and vulnerable ones. And I really like that. And I think that was obviously intentional.
I was going to say, you talk about like it being scary that they're that like coming on to them the way I was thinking of the succubus from VHS.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of along those lines.
Totally. Absolutely.
It's like, no.
Well, as far as my rating goes, honestly, there's nothing that I could say here that I didn't really say on my written review. But it's scary as shit, and it's a really good movie too. The acting is great, and I'm so thankful that there's a real scary witch movie out there right now with real balls, not some sleek high school witches or some artsy fartsy shit like The Witch with Robert Eggers. I know that's your shit, John. I'm sorry.
Okay, shots fired at my boy.
But the effects were no, but for real though, the effects were so good in this, and they're mostly practical effects because the budget was too small for CGI. But that works better. Practical is always better, and it makes it more of like a throwback film. And practical beats CGI every time, like I said.
The Witch is still creepy, by the way.
Yeah, man. And this is a perfect movie to watch during like the Halloween season, I think, with the lights out and the blankets pulled up tight. I'm gonna quote myself here from my written review and say,
"Wow, that's a little pretentious. You're gonna quote yourself on our podcast, huh?"
Two Witches might be a scary as hell, blood-soaked nightmare of a film. But at its roots, it touches up on deep-rooted personal issues like narcissistic behavior and the victims of it, as well as the fear of motherhood and having no control. Pierre Tsigaridis mixes a bag of old tricks that still work with modern filmmaking techniques, and the result is an achievement of true fear. Two Witches is a love letter to the likes of Argento and Fulci in its style and tone, but steps up the scares to current times. My rating is 8.75 out of 10. And you know what's funny? When I combined our ratings...
You're just gonna purposely go a little bit higher than me, huh? Make me look like I'm the bad guy here now, thanks.
No, what's funny is when I combined... thanks for throwing the fucking J at me, by the way. What the fuck
I literally did just throw it at him. It was out.
Some
That's why
aggressive shit. Did I anger you or something?
No, it was out, so I figured I'd get it over to you and just kind of chuck it.
Well, the funny thing was I combined our ratings, right? And get this. So you gave it an 8.6 and I gave it an 8.75. Our combined rating, if like as a duo, if we combine it, is an 8.675 out of 10. So it's legitimately like our ratings combined. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But I guess before we move on, I just wanted to say that when I watch movies like this, it excites me because And I know that it does you too, because like we know that the future of horror is in capable hands. Pierre Tsigaridis' short, "I Who Have No One." It was a promising start, and Two Witches shows you that this guy has something serious to offer the world of horror. Pierre reminds me of a young James Wan, where by watching his films you can tell that he's a genre fan, and while his work is original, he's not afraid to pay homage to movies that he likes, or even like redo things that we've seen before, but be ballsy enough to make it his own with his own vision. And his vision always packs a serious punch, or has so far. Not a lot of people would have actually showed you the fetus skull in the stew, and as the antagonist is eating it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for the future of horror, man. Like, yeah, you have shit like Halloween Ends, it sucks. But big budget studios have always been hit or miss with horror because they're not really committed to it.
Yeah.
Really, the heart of horror is the independent scene, and from what we've seen from stuff from Shudder, I mean, even like I said, like some of those short films I watched, I was really surprised how good they were. Like watching them, I'm just like, some of these, I'm like, yeah, I would love to see you be able to expand this to a full feature. So, like, even the short films,
Yeah.
we have films like this and people that are just doing it on their own. So, I mean, horror's in a good place, and even nationally. I mean, even for the big budgets, like, still, was it 6 movies this year?
Yeah. Even after the
Debuted at number 1.
Even after the fucking devastating blow that was Halloween Ends,
It still debuted number 1,
and we could still say it was a good year for horror.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, but I'd have to imagine it's been a while since there's been 6 horror movies that have debuted at number 1 in the same year.
I know, man. And Terrifier 2 just trudging along.
Yeah, man, I can't believe I didn't bring that up. But yeah, like talking about independent movies, man, they're Terrifier 2, man, they're doing it all themselves.
Absolutely fucking killing it. But yeah, anyway, to close, I just wanted to say that Pierre Tsigaridis, rather he means to or not, he brings that European feel from Italy, from Italian horror films, I mean, into his movies, where style is more the focus than logistics. And that's okay, because that's like the movies I grew up with. If you get it, you get it. And, if you don't, you don't. But if you can make a movie as solid as Two Witches without explaining everything and leaving some things up in the air, then you have a winner. I feel like with Two Witches, we're given a big bowl of soup, but with a fork to eat it with, and you're not getting all the details.
Skull stew.
But but it leaves you hungry for more and satisfies you with what you got. Man, I cannot wait for part 2.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far along this goes. But if it's anything like the first one, I'm here for it. So let's get into Burn and Learn, a segment of our show where we fill you in on trivia about the movie we're discussing. If you haven't figured it out now, too bad.
Oh.
Burn and learn.
Okay, first trivia fact. On Rachel's picture, there's a note from Charlie that says Honey Bunny. And later, Masha kills a bunny and puts it under the table, and it becomes the dead body of Rachel.
Spoiler. But yeah, like I was just telling you, that's the moment you really find out she gets some powers.
Yeah.
Masha can invoke her grandmother to scare and hurt people. That's why even though the boogie woman is dead, she's very much present. So it's kind of like a summon ability.
Yeah, kind of she lives within her, like she can channel her.
So she like I guess it's not really a necromancer, it's just a channel spirits.
She's got a really badass grandmother that's got your back. So the shot of Masha outside of the bathroom door at the party is obviously a shining homage to those who didn't catch it.
Oh, yeah, I spotted that right away. The Creeping Shadow Witch in Dustin and Melissa's house is producer Maxime Rancon.
Add to that, Dustin and Melissa's house was shot at Maxime's home.
The Boogie Woman can turn into a coyote. That's why you see the coyote in the film. It's another way for her to stalk her prey.
Add to that again, the coyote just showed up. That wasn't a trained animal that they had to play the part. They just got good footage of a coyote and used it.
And when Sarah and Simon are on their way to Dustin and Melissa's, that's director Pierre Tsigaridis' car they're in, and Pierre's in the back seat filming them.
Yeah, that's some Evil Dead shit, movie magic. The baby in the opening scene who the Boogie Woman and Masha eat wasn't on set with them at the same time. It was edited to look as though they were together in the same scene, and it looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I did not either. And in the Masha segment, when we see Karen's dead body under the table, that's not actress Christina oh, Jesus. Jeez, I just butchered that all bad. I just got on a bad roll and continued and just butchered it all the way. That's not Christina Klebe. She couldn't make it to the set that day due to other obligations, but they found a suitable stand-in to be her dead body. That's got to be fun. Hey, so you look like somebody else. Can you just, like, pretend you're dead?
Here, put this wig on and act play dead. Well, Dina Silva, who played Melissa, her mom is one of the witches in the coven at the end. She's the one who's like, I love that scene. She's the one that's like swooshing and contorting her face with her hands in slow-mo. I love the way that scene was done, man. The witches were having so much fun. I love that.
Pierre Tsigaridis did the piano work on this movie.
Composer Giacchino Marancola was influenced by soundtracks of such movies like The Conjuring, The Shining, and Hereditary. He wanted noises instead of melody or harmony, and wanted the score to be textural, so to speak.
Those blonde twins that you see Masha eyeing at the party, the blonde ones, one was wearing a black and one was wearing white.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if you see them in the sequels. They were made to stand out on purpose.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Well, I guess now let's get into our interview with Rebekah Kennedy, Pierre Tsigaridis, and Maxime Rancon. With us today, we have the lead actor and the producer and the director of the terrifying film Two Witches, now streaming on Arrow Video's Arrow Player, Apple TV, and Prime Video. Welcome, Rebekah Kennedy, Maxime Rancon, and Pierre Tsigaridis. Thank you guys for being on High on Horror.
Hey guys.
Thank you for
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so I'll start off giving you the basic question since you're on High on Horror. Do any or all of you consume the devil's lettuce in any way, shape, or form?
Max, you start.
I'll start. I do. I've been consuming the devil lettuce for a few years now. I feel it has great creative enhancing capabilities, and I enjoy watching horror films as well when I'm high sometimes.
All right. Me, I don't usually smoke weed, but I have, and very occasionally I will. Not too long ago I have, actually, and I will say I will do it again for listening to some music, especially, that I really, really enjoy that. So I guess it's actually my favorite way of consuming music is with weed, I would say. Yeah, so I don't usually smoke, but for music, I'll definitely do it.
Okay.
No, not really. Kind of boring in that I'm, too much of a control freak, I think. Don't like to, I want to know what I'm going to do. So, but I play a lot of people that have been on things. So you think, but.
So by proxy, right?
Yes, but no judgment. All down for whatever people want to do.
I'll roll one right now since I see that you guys are enjoying yourselves.
Is smoking your favorite way, or do you like edibles more?
I mostly smoke it. Sometimes a little edible in different scenarios, but I mostly smoke it when I do it.
What about you, Pierre?
Yeah, same with me. I want to try edibles more though, because I don't like smoking that much. Even though I feel like I could control the amount more easily with the smoking, but I just don't like putting stuff in my lungs. It kind of hurts my lungs.
I hear a lot of people with edibles like it for that reason, as they know exactly how many milligrams and what dosage they're getting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Me, I'll just take a hit or two, and then I wait a second, and then I'm like, okay, am I good, or do I need more? Whereas if I remember one time I had like some chocolate edible, and I was just like kind of hungry, and then I was like, shit, I had too much. So
Like now I must eat.
yeah, now I must deal with whatever.
But now I'm hungry because I'm high.
Exactly. Yeah, that chocolate was pretty tasty. So
All right. Well, so this one's for all of you. Before we get started talking about Two Witches, it's Halloween time. This episode is airing on Halloween, so I wanted to ask you all: do any of you have any Halloween traditions that you follow every year, like a certain movie you watch, or throwing a party, or anything like that?
I used to throw crazy ass parties in France.
No shit.
Well, when I was in France, like the last 3 years I was in France, I would, because we don't really celebrate Halloween in France, so I would make sure I would be the person to throw the craziest party at my house. And when I mean crazy, I mean like 100 people, crazy decorations, like cemetery in the garden and stuff like that. That would used to be my tradition. I would buy like 10 pumpkins, carve all of them. I would have like some kind of like Halloween music coming from the street. People could hear that there was like crazy shit happening from a long distance. So that was my tradition in France.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ever since I moved to America, not really. Not really.
Yeah, we found ourselves like scrambling every year to go to a Halloween party with Pierre here in LA. I guess usually we'll try to do something like like a costume party or something like that. Last year we were on the road. We were with Rebekah actually for Halloween because we were in Utah
Yeah.
for Film Quest. So they had a party over there.
Festival?
That was really fun.
But yeah, it was cool. We came back with COVID though, Pierre and
Oh,
I.
damn.
So,
Yeah. I had the
Happy
roughest.
Halloween.
but yeah, I guess we still don't really know what we're doing this year. Like we wanted to organize a party for the movie, and the location that we had in mind didn't pan out, and so now we're kind of thinking about what we going to do this Halloween.
Okay. A party with Two Witches party would be awesome, though. Let us know if you're throwing that. What about you, Rebekah?
It will happen eventually.
Yeah, so next weekend I'm going to be in Hawaii, actually. So I leave on Wednesday. So we'll see if they do anything fun for Halloween. I went to a Halloween party last weekend, so that was fun. And then on actual Halloween, we get a ton of trick-or-treaters. So we'll be giving out a lot of candy and, might be watching, Two Witches, maybe, with some people. So
Awesome. Well, for all three of you, I want to ask you, with Two Witches excluded, because we consider Two Witches to be a very good film. Two Witches excluded, what do the three of you think of the current state of horror films? Do you think 2022 has been a good year or bad year?
I think it's been great,
Yeah.
personally.
There's X already, so
Yeah, X was my favorite film.
loved it too.
So just for that movie, I've been like saying like 2022 is good because I absolutely love this movie so much. But yeah, I think it's been pretty good. I mean, look at this Halloween. This Halloween has so many horror films, and that's why we're happy to be on this podcast and to be able to talk about our film, because we feel like there's so many great horror films that are coming out. I feel like the state of horror is pretty good nowadays, in my opinion.
yeah, no, I think it was also a great year for a lot of films that were stepping out of the box, trying something new, surprising us in awesome ways. Loved Barbarian, loved X. So
Barbarian was
I think
great.
it's really been awesome for the genre in new and exciting ways as well.
Yeah, big moment also with Terrifier 2 that's exploding everything. And that's a
Yes.
very independent production, which is
I think they just announced they're going to be in like more theaters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're gonna keep rescheduling. I feel like, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they would keep doing that until at least until Halloween. I mean, I wouldn't understand why they wouldn't.
No, for real, and it's amazing to see independent movies like performing that well. You know, like in the midst of everything that's coming out right now. Do you guys see the Udo Hellraiser? Hellraiser.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. We
guys.
enjoyed it. We enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
time.
I thought it was cool,
Yeah, it was
and
definitely.
I'm a
Good.
fan of the original, so
Yeah, the original
But I
film's
thought it was
amazing.
great, yeah.
Yeah. I would. I would have to agree with you. I think X was probably this movie. Two Witches and X are probably my two. Did any of you see Pearl?
Oh wow.
What-
Yeah, I love Pearl
Yes.
as well. I love
loved
Pearl
it
as
as well. Yeah.
I
but
haven't seen
X
it yet.
Oh no. Okay.
X was more of a maybe surprise, and I really like the kind of like weird sexual dimension in X that
Yeah. That
yeah
creepy
that I
old
think
sexual
made it
deviant.
so much exactly.
Yeah, it was.
It
dope.
made it so much unique, and I mean, I've always been I've always loved Ty West ever since like House of the Devil and stuff like that. Actually, like I feel like Two Witches has kind of like the same approach to like giving homage to those retro films in a different way, but I think the attention was kind of like similar. So not that I'm comparing myself to Ty West, but I've enjoyed this director since day one.
Oh yeah, totally, completely. He's a beast.
No, X was
So like
beautiful.
seeing him like transcending himself with X, I was like so happy. I was like, oh my god, this guy is so much better than people thought he was. Probably
That shot in the water with the crocodile following her is just like that's instant classic. You know, it's like
Well, that's a Eaten Alive homage. It's like it's so cool. I feel like this movie was like perfect for me. I don't have anything bad to say about X. Literally,
Yeah, that's kind of
nothing.
where we stood on it, right, John? Yeah. Well, okay, so moving on, again, before we get into Two Witches, last question about that. What is y'all's favorite Halloween candy?
Ooh, okay. Do we have to say an American one?
I mean,
Or- 'cause
I'd like
we're
to learn
French,
about new candies
Max
I
and
don't know
so-
about.
I love. There's this French candy called Arlequin. It's got like this little how do you say that in English? It's kind of like this clown or something, or
yeah.
it's like a tutti frutti kind of flavor. I don't know. It's like this kind of weird chemical flavor. It's something you suck, you suck, and it's like amazing.
Yeah,
It's,
I like them too. I like them too.
Other than that, I will say for American candy, I just like I don't like candy corn as much as I like how they look and how they feel in when you chew on them. So I'll still have some candy corn, the good old,
I love
classic.
candy corn.
I still
Most
like
people
candy
don't,
corn
though.
sometimes.
Yeah, I don't.
I
like
still
it.
like them. I like the
I'll eat
candy
it if
corn
it's
Yeah.
that look like pumpkins. You know
Yeah,
these
the
ones?
pumpkins are delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
I feel like this. Yeah. The pumpkin candy corn would be my favorite American ones.
I'm a Reese's peanut butter guy personally.
That's my favorite.
Okay.
Easy.
Yeah, me too, man.
What about
So
you,
for
Rebecca?
me, Reese's for sure, but I'll eat any candy. We bought a bunch for giving out, like I said, and it's already hard not to just start eating it. So, but Reese's.
Yeah,
for
Reese's.
sure.
I mean, peanut butter and chocolate. You can't go wrong.
Oh, it's
No, you
genius.
really can't.
The funny thing is, like, I don't know about now, but we didn't have them in France. We didn't.
Yeah, we didn't have them
we didn't
until
grow
probably
up.
10
We
years
didn't
ago.
grow up with Reese's, so the first time I discovered them, I lived in London before I moved to America, and in London they had it, and I had it for the first time, and I was like, "Holy shit, what is this? This is like,
You're like, where has this been all my life?
yeah, this is incredible." Like,
Does
love it to this
France
day.
have them now, or
Yeah, I think now they do.
Are you sure about this?
Yeah, like if you go to like to a French grocery store, you go to like the American section, you can find
Okay.
find some.
Well, it's
But
probably
like
fairly
I
new.
remember like back in 2010, you can find anything.
No.
Like no, like American products were really hard to find. Now they're everywhere.
well, at least hopefully France has them now.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And
I'll double check.
Or Max is like, I'm never
just
going
because
back.
of the reason. Now, the horror genre as a whole, what attracted each of you to the genre itself?
Who wants to start?
I didn't hear what you said. Can
I'm
you
sorry,
say
I was
that
saying
again?
just what attracted you to the horror genre?
Well, for myself, I don't even have recollections of that, but my mom used to say that as a kid I used to lock myself in closets to look for witches and monsters. I don't even remember that, but apparently
To look
it's
for them,
true.
not to hide from them.
So I guess that's kind of my answer. I would say I've always been interested in the spooky aspect of anything, and I feel like my creativity usually is within that realm for some reason. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I started loving horror when I was young. I saw my first horror film when I was 11, which was the It miniseries. And then I was hooked. I never imagined acting in them. So this was a really nice surprise. I don't know. There's something about being scared and being spooked and jumping and like having your heart racing and not knowing where a movie is going to go. That's really appealing to me. And I think that's still why I still love horror, both acting and watching. Because you just kind of never know what you're going to get. And there's so many different ways you can go with it. Barbarian being a great example of that, of having no idea where that movie was going and it being a nice surprise. So I think that's for me personally.
For me, I think originally what drew me in was reading a little book series. We have it's Goosebump. It's good. Pierre, it's
Yeah.
Yes.
Poudre, c'est Goosebump.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it is.
like I had a few goosebumps when I was a kid, and I thought they were incredible. And another series that I forgot how it's called to this day. It was just like mini little creepy stories, which were very fascinating for me. And yeah, I think that it went on with TV shows for preteens, like the Crypt show,
Tales from the
Tales from the Crypt.
yeah. How do you say it in English?
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt, yeah. So Tales from the Crypt, like we had like that dub version in France, and like we would be watching this, and it was kind of cool. Pierre, how do you call this show that was called Fais-moi peur? Does it exist in English?
Oh shit! What was that show?
It's a show with kids. It's a show with kids. They gather around.
Exactly.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Are you afraid of the dark?
And
Are you afraid of the dark?
Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I used to love this show.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to be this person. I like every time I would be this person telling people creepy stories. That would be my that would be my personality growing up as a kid. I would watch like all those films, and then I would go in during recess. In school, I would tell all of my friends about
By
the
the
films I had
fire.
seen. That they would not be allowed to see the movies I had seen. So I would be like, all right, I'm going to tell you about like Alien. There's this thing that comes out of the guy's chest, and they were like, oh really? Yeah, my dad would let me watch pretty much anything. So I was the guy from like Afraid of the Dark, like just telling creepy stories to everybody.
Yeah, that show was the shit. It was so cool.
And
Was it the scariest? Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to ask the book. Was it Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? Was that the book you're thinking of, Max?
That's what I thought.
No, it's
maybe.
Because there's a book, like there's Are You Afraid of the Dark was the show, but then there was a book
Let me try to Google
called
it.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which they recently remade
I've
into
never
a
read
movie.
the book.
But it's like a bunch of short stories. They're like really creepy.
Oh wow.
Like, one, this girl has a pimple that turns into like a spider that like the spider laid eggs and all these spiders come out. Like, it's all these different little short scary stories. But anyway, so
Cool. And I was watching
Well,
that.
I'm just googling and I'm confirming that Fais-moi peur is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
yeah, that's
I
the
was gonna
show.
show you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would watch the show. I've never read the book, but I would watch the show.
Yeah, the show is so cool.
That show is so cool.
Sorry to interrupt.
And Rebecca, you brought up
That's
the
okay.
It miniseries. I watched that when I was 4, and like that is the reason I still don't like clowns
Oh,
to
wow.
this day. Like, did that have an effect on you with like clowns or?
Surprisingly, no. I mean, I don't love anything right in my face. I mean, they always have like clowns at, Universal Studios, the Halloween Horror Nights. Like, clowns are always a big part of that. And people are so scared of them. And I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to meet like, Pennywise in a dark corner for real. But, it didn't really do too much damage, which says a lot about me as a person, I think. But.
And when you were 12, you started acting like locally on stage. Since then, like obviously you've moved to TV and film. Do you have interest in doing stage work still, or is like film and TV mostly where you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love to go back and do a play one day if the role was right and the place was right and the right play. Would never say no to Broadway if that ever was an opportunity, for sure. Right now this has been my focus just because it's really difficult to do both. Plays take a lot of time to rehearse. But I would, if it was the right project, I definitely would love to go back to that one day for sure.
All right, well, going into Two Witches, Rebecca, I got to ask you, did you sit in front of a mirror and practice the twisted faces that you had to make as Masha? Or you have some crazy, like, contorted facial movements in that film.
Oh, thank you. No, a lot of people ask me that. I did not, only because I didn't want it to feel contrived or forced or any of those things. So Pierre and I worked a lot on set in the moment, coming up with different things. And he would say, okay, try this. Let's try this. Let's put your hair here, like whatever worked. Because, sometimes things in the mirror, what works in life doesn't always work on the camera. So it was important to find what in the camera would work and what would be scary and what would be startling. And it was really fun. It was fun to find it in the moment and try different things and see what we could come up with. And Pierre is great about guiding that. And, I just trusted him that whatever we came up with looked good.
What was it like playing? What was it like playing Masha, and how did you prepare for the role?
That's a great question. I rewatched some films. I rewatched Carrie. I rewatched May. Not to copy their performances by any means, and I would never, even compare myself to them, but just to kind of get in that mindset of going from, this kind of wallflower girl that no one really notices and is kind of weird and strange to this really powerful badass witch. And that transformation was really important to me to be able to portray and grasp and to have that arc. So those were kind of some of the things I did to rehearse and then or to watch. And then, of course, I did all my actor homework that, actors do that are, not very exciting to talk about on here, but figuring out what I needed and from everyone and what I was different things I could do in scenes to mess with my fellow scene partners and different things like that. And then once I'm on the set, we just kind of let all that go and just have fun and enjoy it. And that was the main thing with Masha, was just enjoying it as much as I could, because she's so wild and unhinged and a bit crazy that it's like, if I'm not enjoying this, why am I doing it? And I feel like Masha would really be enjoying this too. So those were kind of some of the things and then I also thought about my way into her, was like, I can't relate to, hopefully being that evil and that awful of a person, but I can relate to feeling lonely and feeling like people don't see you, and people that maybe underestimate you. I know what that is like. So I kind of found my way into her through those things, and that was kind of the underbelly of her, and then everything else kind of on top. But that was kind of the driving force behind her actions. Yeah.
And I have to agree with Drew. The face contortions were amazing. Like, how much of a collaborative effort was that? Like, working on those, was it all just you? Was it a lot of direction from Pierre?
It was a lot of direction from Pierre, because I couldn't see what I was doing, right? So I relied on him a lot to tell me if something looked good, needed to be adjusted. Let's try something else. And then I think the only way you can really do it, and the only way you can really do horror in general as an actor, is to just jump. Because you can't be timid, you can't be shy, you can't be self-conscious. You just have to throw yourself into the deep end. And then I trust my director to guide the way as well.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I think the facial process with Rebekah was pretty smooth. It actually was pretty smooth. I relied on, I would look at different, depending on the framing, I would, or the lighting, and how I would operate the camera, each facial expression that I was kind of looking, whenever I would feel something was right with her, I would know, because I could see what I was getting. And honestly, it was the very first, I remember, right, Rebekah, the first time we had to do a face,
Yeah.
it really panned out. It ended up being kind of like a foundation for what we were going to do, and it was really rewarding. From the very first shot we had to do that kind of exercise, it kind of panned out. And I like the fact that it was every time a little improvised. For example, there's a moment where Rebekah, you do that spooky face from Christina's back, when you cast a spell on her, and I remember I would just want to be surprised, for example, because I'm operating, so I'm like on Christina, and I'm gonna pan left or right, I don't remember, and I would be like, oh, is she gonna surprise me, and every time, and my favorite takes would be the one where I would be the most surprised. So I feel like it was kind of like a based on expectation from one another. That's how it works sometimes, based on the moment, like Rebekah said, each facial, for depending on what was feeling at that time, which was different for my mom, because my mom plays the Boogie Woman, by the way.
She's amazing.
And it was I feel like it was a different process in terms of making faces. She would try faces in front of the mirror, or we would try to do faces, and then we would try to remember the faces that she would do, and then she'll be like, oh, I don't remember how to do this one or that one, which was kind of funny, because it's actually pretty hard to sometimes remember grimaces, oh, what was the face I did here?
Yeah, because you don't even know. When I'm doing it, I don't even know really what's happening. So I'm like, you better catch it, because
that's why I feel
may never come again.
Getting it on the moment, I feel like is more it's more truthful, or what's the word? It's more sincere, I feel like. So I feel like that would be the best way of doing it.
Well, you guys did a hell of a job collaborating, because the facial expressions, like I said, it's wild. It's not just the white eyes, it's the faces. And actually during the commentary, Pierre, you said that at one point Rebekah, someone thought that Rebekah's face was CGI, and it wasn't. It was just her. So I mean, that right there goes to show you how amazing that shit is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, they were like, oh, really cool prosthetics. I'm like, no, that's just me.
Yeah, Rebecca's face, other than the white eyes, Rebecca's face has not been altered. I mean, other than the makeup at the end, but other than that, every time that's her. That's
That's
it.
awesome. Well, Rebecca, what did you
Thank
like
you.
about acting in a horror movie?
I mean, they're so fun, right? I mean, you get to do so many things that you never would get to do in real life, or hopefully never get to do in real life. And so I just really enjoy that. I enjoy, like I said, being able to kind of just jump in the deep end of the pool and hopefully that someone will catch me, and hopefully I'll be able to swim. And not knowing what's going to happen next is also really rewarding and really scary, as well as an actor, to kind of just take the floaties off and see what we come up with, but also really rewarding in the end when you get to see your work on the screen. I also like creeping people out. It was really fun on set and also hopefully in the audience, and maybe scaring them a bit, or making them question like me as a person, like I wonder how she is in real life, is really fun. And seeing what works. It's not necessarily scary when we're filming, at all. So it's fun to see it all come together, and see it actually scare people is really cool.
Awesome. Well, Pierre and Max, I want to ask you. I love Italian style horror films. I got my wife into them. Like, big Italian horror fan. Obviously, this movie has Italian vibes, and I love a good scary witch. So I want to ask you, what attracted you to write a movie about witches?
Well, it's always been like one of my favorite characters for some reason. Again, I don't know. Like I said, I was looking for them in my closet when I was like 4 or 3 years old. So, the very first costume I had for my first Halloween was a witch costume. I don't know why, but it came from like the ideas basically that we had for a horror film. I would say, like, what are the spooky things that we would like to articulate in a story, and they're like, for example, the opening scene of like this old woman casting an evil eye, that is a true story that happened to my mom. So like all those little stories actually involved some probably creepy old woman. That So the idea of a witch, of like the the witch that scares children when they don't behave, that kind of like archetype arrived fairly subconsciously and early on, I would say, in the creative process.
Yeah, I think we started talking a lot about like some of the scariest things that we liked into horror films, and or scary stories or real stories that we knew, or stuff like that. And a lot of these stories, including like in from the movies that we loved, and you mentioned Italian cinema, but like we say a lot with Pierre, like there's people are talking a lot about this Italian because we're Italian yet touch, because maybe we're European, and there's definitely like some inspirations in there, but like we're also like heavily inspired by big American movies, big Japanese movies, like The Ring, like The
Yeah.
Grudge. Like these characters are female characters, and they're fucking terrifying,
Yeah,
and
especially like the Asian cinema. I feel like it was like a bunch of like, how can we? Because obviously, I mean, I'm spoiling, but like the end of the film, there's this a kind of a strong Asian influence in the devil that actually don't not that many people talk about. But whether it would be even for Masha, like the crazy woman in Audition by Takashi Miike, for example.
Oh
You
my
know
God,
this
yeah.
movie. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would be that would be an influence for when I was imagining Masha. But to go back to Italian, obviously Suspiria. I also have a great deal of influence from the latest Suspiria, the one by Guadagnino. Whatever, I don't know how to say his name. The remake. And there's also like another film that's called, actually, that I don't talk about it enough. That's called two movies actually. One is called Amer. It's like a French Italian movie that's actually not too old. It's probably from 2013, and it's got like a witch at the beginning of the movie, and it's so good. You guys should just check it out. It's Amer,
Okay.
and it's very Italian and French because I feel like it takes place in the south of France, and I guess I was influenced by that subconsciously. And this other movie that I really like that's kind of campy and cheesy and dumb, but I love it. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's called Witchery.
No, haven't seen that one.
Actually, everybody should watch this film here. It's dumb. It's with it's got a cast though. It's got like Linda Blair. It's got David Hasselhoff. So
Oh wow! Yeah.
just for that, guys, you should check it out. Just for that, it's really dumb, and it's an American movie. But I was like, oh, that movie. I think Max, I had told you I had watched that not too long ago. I was like, this movie. I had watched it a long time ago. It probably influenced me in a way or another. But this movie was like, oh, it's so campy and it's an American movie, but it's like it doesn't feel like an American movie. And not too long ago, I looked the movie up, and it's actually an Italian director.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh my god, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that it's. I feel like the Italian also influence goes through like the storytelling of Two Witches, where we don't really care about the rules of storytelling in terms of like. Script and structure and I feel like the Italians and the Europeans, because the French can do the same thing too. We don't really follow the rules like Americans would. I feel like that would be the biggest influence of like the biggest Italian influence, other than the leather gloves. Obviously, leather gloves and Italian films are hand in hand. But
Yeah, and I think like to get back to just like get back to the question, like in the end, like even before that all of these references like came into play, we also like something we like, when I mentioned The Ring, when I mentioned The Grudge, like if you think about The Exorcist, like all of these like legendary movies have like terrifying like women women like monsters like per se, you know what I mean? And The Witch is kind of the classic, scary. It's the first one. It's the classic scary monster that's a woman, and I think that's how we came to also the theme of witchcraft in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, for all of you, do you have a favorite witch story? I know mine is just the classic, like Hansel and Gretel. And it's funny because my fiance said, now being an adult, you can look at the witch in that story and be like, I kind of understand her. These little asshole kids were like coming in the forest, like eating her house. Like, she spent all her life like trying to build that.
She was just doing what she's doing,
Yeah. Well, Max, I think I know which one is your favorite. No,
I'm gonna say witches.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say Medusa. Don't you like the ancient Greek mythology?
No, I do. I do like that. No, I was just thinking like stories, books that I read when I was a kid, and it was like the Roald Dahl witches, which I thought it was awesome. Yeah, it's a fucking classic. It's amazing. The first movie was incredible too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Well,
but Medusa is an interesting take, also. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, could she be a witch? Like,
kind of.
And she has a great backstory too. She's been abused. She's been raped by Neptune. She's been like, they did her wrong, and she's like, all right, now I'm gonna kick your ass by turning you into stones and stuff. I think she's cool, or maybe it would be my favorite. What about you, Rebecca?
I don't really have a favorite that I can think of. I really liked The Witch, the movie, a lot. So I guess I will go with that for now. I haven't really thought about it as far as like a favorite witch story, but I did like that movie a lot. Oh, a cat.
Yeah.
And I will say, because going back to the witches, the director, I never know how to say his name, Nicholas Roeg.
Yep, Nicholas. I think it's Roeg.
I love this director, and I love one of my favorite movies are, and I don't know if you would see the influence in Two Witches, but it's the movie called Don't
Oh, of
Look
course.
Now.
The
You guys see?
Donald Sutherland film. I own the Criterion Blu-ray. I grew up with that movie. That's a great movie.
Exactly, exactly. Love this movie to death. I love this movie so much. And again, like these, psychic women, the two women that are kind of, one of them is blind, and when they tell the couple they're cursed, and there's this kind of like shadowy, weird figure. They think it's their daughter, but it's not. And the ending is the ending. The ending freaked me out when I was a kid. Holy moly! And again, those like long zooms, super Italian. Maybe even though he's not Italian, it takes place in Italy, and it's got that kind of like Italian vibe with like those candles in the churches and the dark alleys and the smoke. It's really spooky, and I mean, it's almost a witch movie in my opinion. It's almost a witch movie. I don't want to spoil it too much because whoever listens to this podcast, they need to watch that
Yeah,
movie.
right.
Like, yeah. Anyway, so Nicholas Rogue, The Witches, and Don't Look Now are like big, big influences for Two Witches for sure.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to ask you, Pierre and Max, what was the toughest hurdle that you guys faced making this movie, Two Witches?
Doing it alone first was the
Yeah.
was the main thing. Like, the cast was nothing. Pierre had to do so many different things, from directing
Yeah.
to shooting the camera, and even after the production of the movie, and like to moving lights and putting stuff in cars, or just a lot of like physical stuff as well. But even after, like, for the everything that's like marketing content and everything, like, all of the we had to do everything by ourselves, so nobody like really helped us here. So that's one of the main thing, I would
Good
say,
job.
for me.
Yeah. I would say finishing a film is one feat, and that would be maybe the hardest. Like, to be like, all right, am I going to manage to finish this, and is it going to be, watchable? But then, like Max said, then after that, you're only halfway. You're only halfway because then you need to get it out there so then people can know it exists. And we're still working on that, actually.
Yeah.
That's why we're so happy to talk
Yeah.
to you guys and to everybody. Yeah. So there's two things going on here, like finishing the movie and then releasing it, and it's equally hard. I would say it's equally hard.
Yeah, and I think for us it was also very important because it was our first feature, and it was very important to not only understand like the technical side of, like, technically making the movie, obviously, but like at the same time there's the technical side of like talking to distributors, negotiating deals, understanding how the distribution process work, understanding how we can do better next time, understanding, like all of these things. And so that was kind of like a huge like lesson throughout. And yeah, it was fun, but it was challenging, I feel like, all the way from the first moment until still now today.
Yeah.
Well, why do you guys think that the boogie woman wants Sarah's baby? She could pursue someone else who's pregnant. Is it a case of Sarah being at the wrong place at the wrong time? Or is there something special about Sarah's baby?
That's a very, very good question that
Mm-hmm.
we've been asking ourselves.
Okay.
That question. I will say originally, I would have said bad timing, and we also have like actually a deleted scene where you see the boogie woman looking at some other young woman and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go after her as well." So she's more like a predator, I would say, or like a stalker, like a serial baby eater, where have she will have several victims. But on the other end, I feel like there was a there was a moment where Max and I were thinking about trying to maybe bring Sarah to a broader
Story.
reason why. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So we're still working on that. Actually, it's
there,
still it's
there's something that like we said like previously is like also, and to keep in mind like in when answering these questions, is that like Two Witches is a prequel story. It's an origin story. And there's more. There's much more coming after this, and what happened before the actual stakes, the actual like great events that will occur like soon, um it might just be a point of view of what happened to some characters to give them context in a bigger story. So
Okay.
yeah, Sarah's baby is Sarah's baby. I think it's more about who's that boogie woman, and why is she
yeah.
eating babies, and is there a bigger purpose behind all of this? What do the witches want?
Right, right, totally.
Yeah,
They
it's
want
more like an
something.
origin story of it's like an origin of we're just presenting the universe or the universe and the tone and the spooky vibes of rather than explaining that and that I mean again that would be maybe a European aspect or an Italian aspect like we focus more on like the overall feel of how are we making you feel with that origin story, and then we're gonna go more into the what's it called meat and
Details.
potatoes later.
Okay, great. Yeah, we can't wait. Rebecca, I wanted to ask you, how was it working with Marina Parodi, Pierre's mom? I'm sure she wasn't as terrifying off screen as she was on. And did you two practice making faces at each other in between takes?
She's terrible. No, she's amazing. So lovely, so supportive. Just, was there even when she wasn't working, just making sure that we had everything we needed. She's so lovely. We did not, missed opportunity. We did not make faces at each other or offset, unfortunately. But we should have. Maybe for the next one, we will be doing that. No, she's great. I mean, she also just throws herself in, and there were moments when things that weren't maybe necessarily scripted. He'd be like, "Okay, Mom, we need you to step in real quick and do this scene with Rebecca," and she'd be like, "Okay, like tell me where to stand, tell me what to do." Like she just was all in, which made it that much more fun and that much more enjoyable to do the film with her. So definitely honored to be one of the witches of Two Witches.
Excellent. Well, with this movie being like kind of gruesome, it really kind of is. Was there anything about it that turned you off from the movie? Like, was there anything that you had to do in the script that you were like, I'm not looking forward to having to do that?
Maybe the first scene was a little scary when I thought about having to film it.
Okay.
But then Jacob, my scene partner, he was so great and so kind and generous, and made me feel safe and comfortable. And Pierre was great as well, and everybody on set made it an easy experience, that I didn't feel self-conscious or uncomfortable in the moment. Just a little scary when you're thinking about doing those kind of scenes.
Totally.
I won't give it away for anybody that hasn't seen it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, other than that, everything else was just like fun. All the I didn't have too much blood, a little bit, like all that kind of stuff is just more fun than anything else.
Totally. Okay, Pierre, you've done several short films before doing this feature length Two Witches. Did you come in with the idea of like making two short films and then bridge them with a connecting story?
I wanted to. Well, I did only one short film, basically. Really, after going into this one, I wanted to make a horror. I wanted to make like a feature. I like to say before I turned 30, that was like my goal. I wanted to do something because people don't watch short films. You know what I mean? I feel like it's hard to have an audience or have like a voice if you only do short films. And so I was like, I wanted to, go all in. Now, having said that, I like the episodic aspect of horror stories and horror short stories. So I was like, I was not really against going with like a faster paced story that would, have like a lot of things going on that would be, again, not following a structure. So I had like a bunch of ideas, and Max and I, we were like throwing ideas, and we were like, oh, that would work for this, that would work for that. And then that's how it kind of like ended up being this kind of patchwork of things that could look a little bit like short stories put together, which I think is actually pretty exciting because it's a way of telling horror in a different way, in a different that usually you have like a long exposition with actions that inevitably lead to this big finale where you're going to reveal the monster and blah blah blah. That's how people watch horror films, right? They have this very specific way of expecting something, and they want the slow burn and blah blah blah. And I was like, why don't we just do the total opposite? Sarah's baby gets eaten halfway through, and it doesn't nearly take as much time as you thought it was going to take, and then what I mean?
We killed Dina because we thought it looked cool now. Like like it's like moments like that.
Yeah.
That made also the movie what it is. But yeah.
And also, I mean, no one was gonna expect this movie, so I was like, we might as well just try to catch the people's attention as fast as possible, and not people wouldn't expect or give us their time as much as maybe a known filmmaker. So we wanted to just surprise them. I would say surprise them would be the.
Yeah, I have to agree with you about short films, and unfortunately, a lot of American audiences just really aren't into short films. We're both fans. I mean, you like the short stories as a kid growing up. It's just an extension of that with the movies. But yeah, it just feels like it has to be a feature length to like matter in the States. But Pierre, how was it managing writing, directing, editing, and like scoring the film?
Well, I played the piano. I didn't score everything. I played mostly the piano, and I scored a little bit at the very end. I scored a little bit of like a part. But other than that, doing all those things, what was the question? How was that? It was hard.
Which one do you think was the toughest?
But the toughest would be, like Max said, the physical aspect of things, like just like moving stuff around for the gripping and lighting and like just the camera, because the camera is like actually a lot heavier than people think it is. So that would be like hard on my on physically. I think mentally I kind of enjoyed it. I enjoyed because then I had like so much control that I think was exciting because I was really hungry, really, really hungry. So that didn't bother me that much. More like the physical aspect of things. But I had prepared myself to do that because I've been crewing on countless like film shoots before, and I had always that on the back of my mind, like, oh, one day I'm going to do my project, and on my project I'm going to do this. When I would grip, I would see people do this. So when I would be in camera department, I would see people do this. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do that one for my project. I'm going to do this, and then I would have like just this big, stock of information in my brain, and then I would be like, okay, now I know I can do what I think I can do.
And overall, like, how much was COVID an impact on shooting?
It was a big hassle, a big hassle, because it kind of stopped us halfway through. It kind of did that. So the good thing about it was that I was able to edit a lot in the meantime, and see what was working and what wasn't working. But it added overall, I think it added pressure, because especially at the time we were shooting, there was no vaccine. It was actually quite it was still like quite a mysterious thing, and we were shooting with Danielle Kennedy, who plays Christina's mom, and she's older, so we were pretty stressed out about that. Luckily, we had been approved by SAG before the film because we had started shooting before the pandemic, so we didn't have too many paperwork issues, and we were in kind of like this no man's land in terms of paperwork because our film was so small that they wouldn't really care that much. But technical stuff. Technically, it was a hassle for sure, and it was a hassle because then the last scene. I would have other women that would be older, so I would have to shoot separately, and then so that was like a little hard, like for eye lines and keep the energy going, and it was technically it was a hassle. Like I guess it's been a hassle for so many filmmakers.
But Pierre, you were great. Like the last scene, especially, like I filmed by myself, which was especially challenging as an actor.
We filmed only the two of us.
But he was great about telling me where to look, how to, what was coming in, what was I seeing, so I knew how to react appropriately. But that was, I mean, you watch it and you would never know that we filmed it separately. But as an actor, that was definitely one of the more challenging parts of it. Because, obviously it's easier when you can see who's there. But then also, your imagination sometimes is bigger than what's in the room. So sometimes it works that way too,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and for me, it actually pushed me to, I usually don't storyboard that much, but for that eyeline problem and stuff like that, I would be like, okay, maybe I need to be a little bit more precise with my camera coverage. Need to be super precise.
So, what's the deal? Is this going to be a trilogy? How many sequels are you guys planning?
How many?
Well, definitely 1, 2, probably.
It looks like we're already at 2, but it's probably 2.
Okay, awesome.
I feel like a trilogy would be cool. At least, I don't know.
Yeah,
time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the sequel is gonna be incredible.
Well, I was gonna say, is there anything that you guys can tell us about it?
Amazing.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, Rebecca. What did you say?
Oh no, I was just saying I started reading it. It's just like, and it's amazing so far. I'm so excited to be able to revisit Masha and play her again, and even bigger stakes.
Well, Pierre, your mom said that in an interview, she said that it's better than the first one. So I was wondering, could any of you tell us anything about the sequel?
What can we tease? I don't know, Max. What do you want to say?
He's like, he leaves.
It is right here.
Oh wow,
that's the sequel, right? You're looking at it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the sequel right there, guys.
I will say a lot of stuff happens in the sequel. It's really, if I can tease you, I will say the sequel is maybe more. It's more detail in the witchcraft aspect of things. More research was done in the practice of witchcraft, and mingle with nowadays how people like to practice good magic or black magic or whatever, but magic in general. So I will say it takes it further in that aspect. It also takes it further in I explore more of a really deranged and toxic family relationship. I will say. What else can I tease?
There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions that are maybe probably up in the air at the end of the first movie that are going to be answered in that sequel.
Okay,
also.
awesome.
All right. That sounds awesome. And for all of you, what upcoming projects do you guys have?
Well, Rebecca's the busiest. I feel like Rebecca is like constantly killing it left and right.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This movie has opened up a lot of stuff. A lot of people have been reaching out to me because of Two Witches. So I'm really thankful for you guys and opening this door for me and giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple horror films that are, one's a mystery thriller called The Veil, where I play a young Amish woman that we shot in Pennsylvania earlier this year that I'm really excited for people to see. And then I did another one with RJ Mitty from Breaking Bad called The Unseen that we shot in Chicago. And that's a horror film and both of those will be coming out next year, I'm sure. And then I have another one called The Other Kind. That's a sci-fi movie. And that one also will probably be coming out next year as well. And then some stuff in pre-production. So, and then Two Witches too, as well. So,
Yeah, we'll let you know when that starts.
Yeah, please do, so I can be there. Yeah.
Because that's kind of our main thing for us right now is launching pre-production and starting moving forward on the production of Two Witches too. So it's definitely something that's in the pipeline right now.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have other scripts, always revolving around the horror genre. So that's all I think you should know.
Fair enough.
But more to come from these. More to come from these guys for sure.
We definitely hope so. And where can people keep up with you online?
Good question. Well, on Instagram, I feel like maybe Instagram for the three of us, our Instagram handles would be a good way, or Twitter. I'm not an expert on Twitter. Rebecca is more of the person to follow on Twitter.
Well,
Twitter, Instagram.
Well, because people are so great about
and
tweeting about the movie, so I've been trying to keep up with people, and because indie movies are hard, as we've said. Like indie movies are hard to get seen if you don't have a huge studio behind you. You're not in theaters. Sometimes they can get overlooked. So it's been incredible to see the amount of people that have been watching our movie, and you guys included, supporting our movie. We really appreciate it.
Of course,
for real.
Yeah, you can, and if people wanna know anything about Two Witches, I think the best way is to follow the Instagram account, Two Witches Movie, and every time we'll have like new merch or new teasers or new anything, it'll be on there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's the Two Witches website also to order any merch as well.
Yeah, the shirts are awesome. Highly
like
recommend looking into this.
Yeah, we're going to try to do more. Also get some other like design shirts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And again, we just want to thank you for joining us today. We both love the movie, and we definitely love to have you all on again after Two Witches 2 comes out.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for taking the time. It was a pleasure, guys.
Thank you again.
All right. Hey.
Bye, Drew. Bye, John.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thank you again to Rebekah Kennedy, Pierre Tsigaridis, and Maxime Rancon for joining us today. It was a real pleasure getting to talk to you all today.
It was an awesome discussion.
Especially with a movie this good. It's always good to talk about that. So next week, we don't know. Follow us on social media at High on Horror 420 at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And you can always email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com. Go to our website, highonhorror.com. We have a review section now because there's just so much shit that comes out that we can't possibly cover it in a podcast. So some stuff that we might miss or aren't going to dedicate an episode to, which turned out not to be true because you did one for Two Witches and we got this awesome episode.
It just fell into place like that. It was a happy coincidence. Couldn't happen for a better movie.
We don't have any time frame. There'll just be reviews popping up all the time on there. Just highonhorror.com. click on the reviews up top. Joe and I write shit, you read it.
And then you can listen to our episodes there too.
Yeah, you can listen to episodes there too. And you can sign up for the newsletter while you're there, so you can receive guest announcements and episodes sent directly to your inbox. And I guess that'll about wrap her up. Happy fucking Halloween, everybody. Catch yous later.
Happy Halloween. Bye, guys.